All right. Happy Saturday to you guys. Welcome again to another broadcast. Hope you guys had a wonderful day so far, and I know you're going to continue to have a wonderful day for the rest of the day. We got to, again, the future isn't made yet. It isn't. Okay. It is always a work in progress. Remember that. It's not etched in stone because it didn't happen yet. Okay. So we will have a wonderful day. We're going to write our future in real time today. All right. And so glad that you guys are here with us. We have a full broadcast today. Y'all. So there's a lot that we're going to cover. So I'm just going to section it off as much as I can. But like I said, there's a lot that we're going to be covering today. All kind of things that have been happening in the news and all of that. So we're going to take our time and we're going to unravel some fresh lies that have come out this week again to scare up black folks once again to the polls, scare them to the polls. This is what they always do. And unfortunately, it's people who look like us who are doing the scaring. And we're going to make sure we unravel all of that. And then we're going to also look at some of the things we're doing here. And, but like all of our broadcasts, we're not going to just talk about problems. We're also going to talk about some solutions too. So I hope you stick around for the solutions, because I get people all the time that says, okay, well, what do we do now? I said, I tell you that literally every broadcast on what you can do and how it begins with you. Every broadcast I do that. So make sure you stick around for that. But for now, what we're going to do, let's start off with some music here. Again, yours truly wrote this music, wrote the song. I wrote the lyrics, but the music, I gave that over to AI. But check this out. We're going to let it roll here a little bit. Welcome to the broadcast. Going to give people about 2 minutes to get on, and then we're going to get started, okay?
They took me from my window, put me under neon lights, said grow the same, don't ask why, in somebody else's climate. Told me bloom wherever planted, but they never changed the soil. Still I learned to bend towards something. Still I learned to save my joy. I grew quiet, I grew careful, learned to drink just what I need. But don't confuse my adaptation for the limit of my seed. I ain't broken, I ain't small, I'm just listening to the room. I was built for gentle waters, not the pressure of this gloom. Hey, I'm an African violet, I don't bloom just anywhere.
All right, we got another minute here and we're going to start.
They keep measuring my petals by the ruler of the stone. Wonder why I don't grow reckless in a place that hates my phone. I learned patience, I learned silence, I learned power. Don't need noise, I don't waste my energy trying to impress a void. Every leaf a declaration, every root a quiet plan. I am not what you allow me. I'm more than where I stand. I can feel another climate calling softly through my veins. I don't curse the place I'm in, but I
30
won't
seconds.
confuse it with my name. Hey, I'm an African violet.
Hey, come on.
I don't bloom just anywhere. I don't break myself for survival. I require love and care. I'm an African violet, still restrained but still complete. I don't shrink to fit the system. I remember who I
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into it, y'all. Welcome again. Happy Saturday to you guys. Happy Saturday. It was so nice out here in beautiful sunny Arizona. These last couple of days, it's been windy. I'm looking out the window, so you see me looking off like that. I'm looking out of our window here, and it was on the windy side. It actually got cool, but you catch that as long as the sun is out and you got clear skies, you're getting that warmth. And let me tell you something. Your friend here, your brother out here, after I did my breathing exercises, I went in the house and then I came back out. I was like, man, I need to get some more sun, man. It was feeling good out there, man. I sat out there. I've been trying to push through this video I was listening to. I've been trying to get through. It's regarding quantum physics thinking. Yeah, I tell you, I be getting out there, y'all, man. It's something, and man, all the other ones I've been listening to are just, all of them are good. All of them are good, and all of them are challenging, but it's just for some reason, this one particular one that's like excellent. I mean, this video is excellent, but it goes even deeper. And man, I get like 7 minutes in that thing. It doesn't matter. Next thing I know, I am knocked out. Next thing I know, it's playing the next video. And I'm like, dang, man, I missed that. So I was outside yesterday sitting on our bench. Next thing you know, I was out. Okay. I was out, but it felt so good out there, man. I love being able to sleep outside, man. That's just, you talking about calmness and peace. Whew. Man, being able to sleep outside, man, that's becoming more and more of a foreign thing these days, for some people, and it's one thing to sleep indoors with the windows open. That's cool, but sleeping outside and it's just the wind blowing, the sun is right in your face. Oh man. So it was very relaxing and peaceful for me after I did this was before I launched in, because I knew once I got in the house, it was going to be a wrap. I was just going to be straight in the office and just working for the rest of the day. But yeah, I always try to start off my days like this. And what am I going to ask you? Like I always ask you, how's your breathing exercises going? Are you doing that? Or you just listening to me like, oh, I ain't trying to do that. Oh, I ain't trying to do that. I ain't trying to let the devil in. Ain't nobody asking any devils or any spirits to go in. This is about training your nervous system to say, you know what? This is how you are going to function and to respond and to react. And this is how you're going to be. We're going to set the pace for you today. Okay, that's how we're going to do this. Okay, we're not going to let social media set the pace. We're not going to let these crazy family members set the pace. We're going to set the pace. And so every day you have to be intentional in training your immune system. This is how you are to proceed through the rest of your day. And so that's why I'm a strong advocate for these breathing exercises. Okay, so make sure you guys are doing that and taking that seriously when I'm bringing that up. Well, anyway, like I told you, we have a full broadcast today, and I'm trying to get my lovely wife to step in, and she's going to share something maybe in a little bit. We don't know yet, but anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, we got a lot to cover. Like I said earlier, we're going to confront some of these lies that these people are putting out, these Boule class people that they've been putting out just this week to try to get black people more and more wrapped up in our emotions so that we can make these rash decisions and all of that. They're doing it again, y'all. Once again, they're out here again, taking the streets saying, we got to make sure, because it's quite a few black women who are running for Congress and for the Senate. And so they're saying we got to support black women, let black women speak and all of that. And here we go again with it. It's like they just don't even learn. It didn't work for the Indian woman. Now they think it's going to work for them. It's not going to work. And it's not. We love our black women, right? We do on this platform here. But but just like black men, just like white men, just like Asian men, just like whomever men or women, we're going to check your receipts. And if your receipts are anti-black, then we're going to say to hell with you. Okay, it's just simple as that. It's just simple to me. I mean, it don't even matter. I'm not going to support you just because of that. You understand what I'm saying? Or I believe we got to say, oh, it's time. Time for what? More of the same stuff that we've been going through? Think about all the black politicians that we've had. And a lot of times we talk about black politicians, but I also want you to focus your attention on all the thousands, hundreds of thousands of black employees that make up the federal government, that make up the state government. That's a lot of black folks. And let me ask you something. It's 2026. You got black folks who are still complaining about how much the government doesn't have any strong interest in our needs and all of that stuff, right? So we're still complaining. Same complaints that we were having in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s. Now, some things have changed, but the government is still on their track. They're not deviating from their track. And so for people to be out here in 2026, still using the same arguments that they've been using, and we're still getting the same results, you're a whole fool to continue to think that. Okay, you're a whole fool. All right. So we're going to get into some of these things that they were talking about just this week. What happened in DC. Gee, is quite interesting that nobody's really talking too much in the black space about this whole water crisis that's happening in the Washington, D.C. and Maryland area. Gee, I wonder why. Well, I'm going to show you some video to give you some idea as to why that is being largely ignored. We're also going to talk about this story about a young man. Yes, unfortunately, another young man, precious life, was found hung in Marietta, Georgia. And yes, another sad story, another sad situation there. But yet, once again, people are taking the route of that the KKK actually is behind it, because in their view, they believe that black men do not hang themselves. Well, and Mauricia, one day I really would like to have you on here, because we need to talk about this. Because when I tell you I'm so done with this, well, I'm done with, unfortunately, people dying, right? But there's this mindset that's out here that believes that black folks don't deal with depression. And they don't, and like there's some kind of textbook way on how human beings, not just black people, but how human beings deal with depression. There is no textbook way on how people handle. Now there's patterns, right, that you can look for, but there's no absolute, like, one thing black people ain't gonna do is they ain't gonna hang themselves. One thing black people gonna do. Now, we could be depressed, but we ain't never gonna get a gun and blow our brains out. We ain't never gonna do that. We're gonna cut through that today, okay? We're gonna cut through that today. We're gonna confront that yet again. And like I said, again, it's unfortunate. We got another, this case here. But what's more unfortunate to me is this whole idea that somehow there's this golden rule or some rule of disengagement that black people follow when it comes to dealing with depression. And I'm here to tell you that's a whole lie. And it's more, and it buries the real issues that we need to discuss and talk about and face, right? So we're going to talk about that. What's the other story? The other story we're going to get into is we're going to talk about this, what I have noticed. Okay, there was this movie that's coming out now. They just announced it. It's called I Is God or something like that. I don't know. I will, when I get to that segment, I'll have it. But basically, the storyline is you have two young ladies who have been commissioned by their dear mother, who they refer to as God, to go after their father, who they refer to as the monster. And it's a Black American pretty much storyline. You know, the woman who put the story together, I think she's got some immigrant background or whatever, but it's geared towards Black Americans. And it, once again, yet another story where a black man is portrayed as the monster. And in this case, literally is the monster. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a very honest look at it because again, the interactions I was having on social media about this with people, of course, you know, you have numbers of people who were coming after me saying that, oh, when it's a man, see, you men are weak. Here we go with the, by even pointing these things out, it's, you act like men are untouchable. I said, I never said that. I said, what I'm looking at are trends. And what I'm also looking at is how you were reacting to this announcement of this movie, because you a whole lie. And we're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at the overall thing. Again, we're getting into the psychology and the mindset of a lot of our people and how they have normalized some behaviors. And so we're going to look at that as well, because that's important. But we're also going to look at this. There's a clip that I was going to play in our last broadcast, but I just got too tired because I just don't have the stomach for some of these things. But I am going to play it in this broadcast here, because what's also happening is a trend now. Well, it's been happening. We saw this during the last presidential election. Now, this doesn't apply to all black women. Anytime I say black women here on this platform, just know I'm never talking about all black women. Just hear the whole context of what I'm talking about. But in this past election, we saw the 92%, the liberal, we'll just say liberal black women, right? That who also known as the 92%, that's what they called themselves. So we just continued on with it. The 92% have been partnering with gay men. And when I say they have been partnering, this has been going on for a long time, even before the elections. This goes way back. It goes way, way back. And we're starting to see more. What I'm starting to notice now is this more and more of this boldness, if you will, to begin to go after men who they consider that are pretty much straight. Okay. And so you're starting, because now I'm starting to hear more and more of this toxic masculinity stuff. And, we need to, the black male patriarchy needs to be put in check. I'm starting to hear more and more of that stuff. And, I'm bringing a hammer on that today. So we're going to talk about that as well. And, yeah. And then I got some solutions to some things that that's tied to one of these stories that we're going to talk about. So as I just said, we got a full broadcast today. And we're going to start off with the video that I did earlier today. As you know, at Sombertree, because this broadcast has been brought to you by Sombertree.com. We are having a huge event, a citrus event that's happening right now. And this ain't just any citrus, y'all. We make sure we check these folks, okay? Wouldn't it be nice if when you go to the grocery store, that when you buy your produce, you getting it from somebody you kind of know, you got some familiarity with, you know what I mean? Someone that you build a trust with. Well, that's what we're doing here at Sombertree. The produce that we are selling, we're not, you're not just getting it from whomever. No, we're checking these people out. And we see that, okay, they got this many trees, this is how much fruit they have. Let's taste it for ourselves and make sure it's good. They ain't just hyping. Let's look at it and all that stuff. We're checking this stuff out. And what we came back with is what we consider is the best that we can offer for you, for our Sombertree family. And I want to show you this video that I did. Let me pull to you and show you this clip I did. I love orange juice. I love orange juice. Love orange juice. And but you got the orange juice, when you go to the grocery store, they'll say, oh, it's fresh, it's organic and all of that stuff. But here's the thing. In most cases, the orange juice that you get in the grocery store is pasteurized. It's pasteurized, meaning that they heat it up to kill the bacteria, right? Because again, if they don't do it, and let's say there's some bacteria in it, they can get sued. But when they heat up fruit juice, regardless if it's apple juice, if it's orange juice or whatever, when they heat it up, yeah, they may be killing bacteria, but they also are killing all the other good nutrients, the healthy nutrients that will die the moment you heat it up. And when that happens, you're basically turning that fresh juice into sugar water. That's basically what you're turning it into. So this is why it's imperative. If you are someone that really loves fruit juice, you need to drink fresh juice, fresh juice, not, okay, I'm getting it out of the bottle. That's good. And listen, sometimes we end up buying the bottle out of the store too. But when we can get our hands on some fresh fruit and we already got our juicer, all the time I'm pivoting to that. So let me drop this video in here and I want y'all to take a look here. I did something very simple in the backyard. Take a look at this and then I'll be right back. Okay, family, I hope you guys are having a good day. It is another beautiful day out here and beautiful oranges that we're still getting from the various farms that we work with and growers that we work with right here. So I got two different oranges now. Most of you look at these oranges and say, well, they're just both oranges. But there is a difference, and I'm about to show you the difference between these oranges, okay? So we're gonna start, I'm gonna put this one here, and what we're gonna do, is we're gonna actually juice them. So let's start off with this one, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it open. Let's take a look. Take a look inside there. Now you see, what do you see there? Or what don't you see, I should say. Ain't no seeds up in there. I mean, there's some tiny ones on here, but these are seedless oranges. These are seedless. And also you can kind of already see, ain't that much juice in there. You can already look at that and see. But I'm going to run this on the juicer so you can see. Let's see how much juice this orange is going to produce. This is a seedless orange. Let's take a look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run this through. I got my old school manual one here. All right. I ain't playing no tricks and nothing like that. So we getting some juice out of this, right? And you know me, man, I'm going to squeeze this thing for what it's worth, for all the work this orange put through to produce itself. We're going to make sure this thing is squeezed, bro. We're going to try to get as much out of it as possible. All right. So a lot of pulp. But even though it's soggy and it's somewhat wet, this would still be considered dry. Okay. This will still be considered dry. I'm going to sit that over there. Now that's just 1/2 of the orange. Look how little of juice I got out of there. All right. Let's go to this other one here. Same thing. I want you to make sure you take a good look there. You see that? It's wet, but it's just the pulp ain't really storing enough liquid in there. And let's go ahead and juice this one. And like I said, same thing. I'm going to squeeze this thing for what it's worth, because all the work that this tree put in to produce these oranges, we're going to make sure we get as much out of it as possible. All right, so we're done. So I want you to take note of a couple things here. You see all that pulp up there? Now, we love pulp, and anytime I make my own orange juice, I'm always going to use that pulp, because that pulp has a lot of stuff in there, right? And but I'm real heavy on the pulp side on this orange, because there's just not enough juice in there. Now, that's one whole orange. Look how little juice I got out of that orange. Okay, now compare this orange to the other orange. I purposely went with a larger orange, a seedless orange. Look how much I got out of that. All right, so now I'm going to wash this up. Well, I'm going to drink this down still. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this other orange, and we're going to look at the difference. Okay, so now I am back and emptied it out. Man, that wasn't even a gulp, man. we cleared that out. All right, so now These are the seeded oranges that we sell here at sambatree.com. All right. So looks like an orange, right? So let's go ahead and cut this mug up. Now, this is not to say that all seedless oranges are like that, but you know, the reason why I want to point this out is because the oranges, I want people to see that the oranges that we are choosing to sell to our customers are oranges that have a lot of juice in them. Okay, when you go to the market, you are going to get, they're just going to pick whatever. We're here at Symmetry, we're taking the time and making sure that you're getting quality oranges, all right? Not just oranges, organic seeded oranges. All right, so let's cut this up. All right, so let's now take a look at this, the unveiling. Okay, so now, now let's take a look at this one. Now, hopefully you could tell the difference between what I showed you before and this one. Notice how inside it just looks a lot more healthy, a lot orangey. You don't see that white because these oranges are full of juice. I mean, even as I'm holding this right now, there's like juice falling on my hand. And so let's go ahead and juice this up. Like I said, you see the seeds in there, all of that. Let's go ahead and juice this up. And let's just see, just from this one orange, how much juice we get out of it. Oh, it already won. It already won. It already won. It already won. It's jogging now. It already won. Ain't even no contest now. I ain't even look. I took three turns on this thing. It already beat it. It beat the whole. It beat one orange. Okay, so you can see, I'm gonna get as much out of it as I can. Look at that. Look at that. Already won. Okay, I got more out of a half than this orange back here where it was one whole orange. Look at that. All right, well, we're gonna sit around and waste time and talk here. We're gonna, now look, notice the difference. We got pulp, but it ain't real pulpy. We love our pulp, but it ain't overcompensated with pulp. And the reason why you're gonna see that overcompensation with pulp is because it is not enough juice in there. That means that orange didn't get enough water during the season. All right, let's go ahead and do this other one. Look at that. It's already a wrap. This is fresh orange juice, and you want to make sure oranges tend to grow in areas that where you're getting a lot of sun. So you are literally getting the liquid sunshine. Orange juice full of vitamin C, full of zinc, full of all of minerals, things that your body needs, especially during these cold seasons. And there you go. Now take a look. Look at all that. Now just imagine if you had a few more. I could fill this whole thing up. All I need maybe 2 more oranges. I'll fill this whole thing up. And you got yourself a full day supply of vitamin C and all that. Again, sambatree.com. This is what we're about. We're about finding. All right, there you go. There you go. See, I almost made that mistake there. I know in a minute, say, your volume ain't up. Oh, it's on now. Okay. But anyway, the tail of the tape, I'm just saying. Y'all. So, yeah, so we do take the time, to look over these things, talking to these people and all of that and making sure that we're getting the absolute best for you. So we're actually this weekend only, it is a 10% sale, 10% off. If you are looking to get on our email list, if I had the email, I'll share it with you, but 10% off. It's 10% off of produce. I know it's 10% off of our eight herb tea and our 11 herb tea. It's offered at the 11 herb one we have. Let me just pull that up very quickly, y'all. Very, very quickly, y'all. We're not going to spend. I'm trying to hurry up on this one here, but let's see. Summertrain.com. All right. Here we go. I'll just pull this up right quick, and then we're going to jump right into our stories for today. I told you, but it's going to be big broadcast today. So here you go right here. So right here. So there's going to be 10% off if you're on the email. Make sure you check your email. 10% off of this. There's also 10%. You know, we got the free shipping going on right now with our whole line of supplements. 10% off of the 8 herb multivitamin and mineral tea, and then also 10% off of the 11 herb respiratory rescue and detox tea. All right, so we got 10%. That's just this weekend only. Just this weekend only. So again, make sure you check it out. The website again is sambatree.com. All right. So just wanted to let you know about all those great things that we got going on there. And there's some other things going on as well. But make sure you check that out, and maybe we'll come back to Samba Tree maybe a little bit later on in the broadcast. Okay. So let's get into the stories here. Let's get into talking about DC. Now, this week, we heard about what's going on in Washington, D.C., that they are dealing with what they believe would be considered one of the largest sewage spills in DC water history. All right. Let me pull something up here and see if we can bring you up to speed in case some of y'all didn't even know about it. Because again, this is one of these stories that they like to bury, and I'll tell you why they like to bury it in a moment. We're going to get to that. Let's see. Oh, shit. Water. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Let's get this up here. Let's go here. We're going to go right to this video let's see, which one should we play here that will give us this one. We will go to this news right here. I'll pull this up. Give me just a moment.
Right now at 6, urgent.
Hold on, y'all. Slow down. I'm getting to you. Anyway, it's right here. All right, let's go ahead and play it, and then we're going to get into the story. All right.
Warnings to stay out of the Potomac tonight. The very latest from officials on that catastrophic.
On Fox Local.
Right now at 6, urgent warnings to stay out of the Potomac tonight. The very latest from officials on that catastrophic sewage spill. And a partial government shutdown has officially begun. We'll tell you which agencies are impacted amid the stalemate over immigration enforcement. We've also got new details in that dumpster truck hit and run that killed a person. Folks to stay out of the water after more than 200 million gallons of raw sewage spilled into it in what some researchers are now calling one of the largest sewage spills in U.S. history. Our Regina Ureta is live in Old Town Alexandria now with the details on these warnings tonight. Hi, Regina.
Yeah, hey, Sydney, and I wanted to actually show you the atmosphere here in Alexandria because it seems like many people had the same idea, a waterfront romantic stroll. We still have a couple people out here at this hour in this beautiful view of the Potomac, but D.C., Virginia, and Maryland all saying do not touch the water. That is the warning that they are giving to the public as a precaution, and here's why. I want to show you and explain to you what's been happening. So nearly a month ago, an underground sewer pipe collapsed, sending more than 200 million gallons of raw sewage into the water. Now, I want to be clear, this is not affecting your drinking water, according to DC Water. The company also says the majority of that spill, 194 million gallons of it, occurred in the last 5 days. DC Water is working with federal, state, and local regulators on an environmental restoration plan, which is in development and will be released to the public once approved. But local environmental groups have already called out DC Water, accusing them of downplaying the sewage spill. Some saying cleanup could take months. They're also sounding the alarm of potential health concerns. So with the warmer temperatures nearly approaching, the new warnings could exacerbate the issues. We spoke with a woman who is part of the rowing team here in Alexandria, and she has questions of what the season will look like in April. We also spoke with a man who was unaware of the sewage spill but was concerned after we informed him.
We're always concerned about the cleanliness of the river. I mean, if you have an open cut or anything, typically we don't want to get our hands.
Anyway, so we got it. So there's Duke dookie in the water. All of that, I'll just tell it to you tonight in Washington, there's dookie in the water. So that's basically what it is. They said this is shaping up to being one of the largest sewage spills in American history. What the heck? Well, usually, and because this took place, in Washington, D.C., it becomes even more amplified. But typically, anytime there is a municipal failing, what does that mean? Usually what that means is everybody starts pointing the finger at everybody, right? That's typically what happens. And so you got the locals that point to the federal point to the state points to the local, and it's just round and round and round, and it's the contractor, no, it ain't that, and it's this, it's that, we done tried to tell you, and all of that stuff. And so it's more of the same, of course, what we are seeing. Well, if you take a look, if you go to the Washington, D.C., this is D.C. water, okay? When you look at the people who make up a good portion of that staff, and I'm talking about the executive, the board, right? Most of them look like me. I hate to break it to you. In fact, we're going to look at two videos. One is the head of that water company, and it's someone that's right under them. I want you to pay close attention to how, before all this even happened, how they were talking. All right, so let's go here. So we're going to look at, this is David Gaddis. I want you to listen to David Gaddis here, and he is the DC water manager. I want you to take a listen to him here. Let me get this video up here so you could, I think he used to play for the NBA too. Let's take a look here. Let me pull this video up. Here we go. Volume's up. Let's take a listen to Mr. Gaddis here.
Now, when I arrived at DC Water, this was an organization that looked very similar to our industry. It was predominantly, white male at the top, but this was a utility that's, more than 70% people of color work at this utility. And I really believe, and I still believe, and it has been fantastic. The outcomes have been fantastic, but the people at the top, the executives, the chiefs in that C-suite, they should look like the employees that they serve and that they work with, and the same thing with the community. And so my executive team, looks exactly like the community. It looks like the employees, the staff, be it people of color, women, men, and it's just a fantastic team that has come together to do a lot of great things here at DC Water and in the community for the customers.
Okay, so there you go. So we know where that's going to go. All right, and we see where it's going. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, so when people are asking about representation, stay on that square. Don't run now. Stay on that square. All right, representation means you're going to get better quality stuff, right? That's what it means. Representation means that you got people up there. If you're in a city, if you're in a town and that mayor looks like you, automatically that means you live in the Wizard of Oz kind of world, after he got saved, basically, right? Can you feel a brand new day? And then you got two gang members, getting ready to go after each other with two guns, right? And then all of a sudden they realize that they got a black mayor. All of a sudden they're like, hey, all of a sudden now everybody dancing in the street, all the thugs and all of that stuff. Kids, all of a sudden they're dancing around with books and they're like, yay, I can read. All of a sudden now, all of that stuff, that's what's supposed to happen, right? That's what you buy into, right? That's what's supposed to happen. Huh? Anyway, so this woman here, this is his, she is the a chairman of the, I don't know, she's a chair member So she's basically right under the person that we just heard. So I want you to listen to her. And as you can hear, she's really not saying too much different than what he was saying. So let's take a listen to what she has to say. Again, representation matters.
Now, and this is the chain breaking, institutional barrier disruption work that I'm doing. Now I'm on a mission to make sure Black and brown kids have experience in the workplace. So then when they're competing in the market,
that's one less check.
That's one less check. And the playing field is leveled.
Ah.
Because now they got the internship, the same one for the parent who knew the president of the corporation. Now the playing field is level, but that
okay, all right, so that's her right there. So let me just interrupt that just for a moment, then we're going to get more into this whole DC water stuff, right? We're going to get into this. See, and especially we're talking DC here. See, the part that she leaves out, and other people like her that they leave out. Now, this is Black folks now. You know, I just said I was just being funny, but I'm also being serious, that we think that just because somebody looks like you, that they have interest in you. They don't have, that doesn't come automatic, okay? Anybody that has any experience, particularly when you're in the government space, the public space, they will tell you that, and it's a woman that I actually played it. I think I did a video on it, but it was somewhere on my phone. She will tell you, this is a Black woman whose mother was high up in, like, working in the public sector within Washington, D.C. She was saying it herself. She was saying that these Boule types, she said they don't care what color you are. But if you're Black and you think that somehow you are automatically going to be treated, get some special treatment simply because you're Black, because your supervisor is Black, no. The first thing they're going to check is your resume. If they don't see AKA, if they don't see Alpha Phi Alpha, if they don't see Q Phi whatever, if they don't see any of that on there, then they're going to put you in a separate pile. This is what happens all the time in America. So miss me with this whole mindset that's out here that somehow these Boule types are automatically for you. They're not. All right. And so you got that going on. And so what turned this to be more embarrassing is, you know, you had Trump basically saying, listen, you know, he gave the response that most presidents would do. He was like, well, you know, especially if the local government is someone that is not of his party, they typically are going to automatically pivot and say, well, it's the state. And then the state going to say, oh, no, it's going to be it's the federal and all that stuff, right? And so Wes Moore basically put out this video where he was talking about how, let me see if I can find that. He put out a video and he was doing all this stuff because he had just finished getting off his tour. This is the governor of Maryland I'm talking about. He just finished doing his tour where he was crying about how he was not invited to this dinner that the president throws for governors, you know, every year. Never mind the fact that he himself turned down the invitation last year, but then all of a sudden this year, you know, he decides not to go. He's not invited, and all of a sudden now he's mad, and he was going on every time I turned around, he was on a talk show complaining about how he was not invited to this dinner and all that. So never mind that. But anyway, he was going back and forth a little bit with Trump on this whole issue regarding, you know, who was supposed to take care of this, the piping in Washington, D.C. And so I'm trying to find and see if I can find that map. If not, it's all good. Let's see. I'm just trying to find it here. But basically in the post, he was trying to make this argument and saying, no, actually, Mr. President, it's the federal government that is supposed to take care of. Let me see if I can find this thing, man. Let's see, Westmore. Spell that right first. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. All right, here it is right here. All right, so let me pull this up here. All right, so this is him right here. Westmore, he was responding back to Trump, and he says, heard you weren't sure about what is federal versus local jurisdiction, Mr. President. So we wanted to make it easier for you. Many thanks to the National Park Service for this great map of federal land. And so basically what he's trying to say is that the piping that is, the piping that burst in DC and all of that, he's trying to make this little argument saying that no, it's on federal land. That means that you guys are supposed to take care of it. And many people ran with that because, again, they just hate Trump and despise him and all of that. And it was like, good one, good one. But as you can see, he got community noted for it because there's a difference between land and pipes. OK, and all you got to do is look at your own house. The house that I'm in, for example, we don't own this house, but I'm just saying, if I own this house, the land, I may own it, but I'm getting my water from the city. And so the city, they're responsible for the piping up to the house. If there's a pipe issue going on in the street, the city's got to take care of that. So it's the same thing in this case here. It may be federal land, but Washington, D.C. water, they are responsible for caring for it. Okay. And so that's what this, when you read the community note, it does a whole breakdown and explains perfectly, what I just told you. That's just the law. I mean, that's just how it's always been. And so this is really not about, so I don't want to focus too much on, it's their fault. Not so much of that. It's really not, because we'd just be just as bad if we just left it there. But I want to bring it to you. I want to bring this whole situation to you because, as you know, this isn't the only time that we've had issues in an area that has a high percentage of Black Americans that live where they live, where there's been a severe water issue crisis that took place. This also reminds me of a few years ago in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi. Some of y'all remember this. Remember, they had a water crisis that went on there as well. You remember Coach Prime? This was when he was the coach down at Jackson State. And he's trying to do his thing down at Jackson State. It was so bad, he had to go into his own pocket to make sure that his athletes got clean water. There was also a local water company. I don't know if they were based in Mississippi or somewhere in that region where they supplied a spring. They had their own springs and they were giving away free bottles of water to Black folks in the area. And again, the local water company, again, was controlled by whom? The same people, Black folks. Now, is this to say now you got some racist people out there that will sit up there and say, oh, see, what would you try to say? I guess you're right. Black people can't manage anything. No. That's not true at all. That's not what we're saying here. That's not what we're saying here. Number one, my first argument is that what this shows is that we have to be a lot stricter as a people in holding people accountable, period. I don't care what color you are. We got to hold people accountable. And the reason why this kind of stuff continues to happen in mostly Black communities is because, again, when it comes, we get so caught up in getting Black faces in high places. And then once they get into those high places, the first thing we do is, oh, okay, we made it. Let's move on. See, we look at all that. And look at all that. We got all them Black faces up there. And you so excited and happy about that. But meanwhile, are they doing what they supposed to do? Well, we ain't gonna worry about that right now until you turn that faucet and you ain't got nothing but dookie coming through the faucet. Now, all of a sudden, you looking at anywhere and everywhere possible that you can blame, when it comes to, your drinking water. So this is something that happens quite a bit, and we had the other place, Flint, Michigan, another place, again, a heavy percentage of Black people who were in controlling positions in that part of Michigan where we had a lot of issues pertaining to something as simple but very important, our drinking water. So let's move away from that. Let's talk about solutions you can do, okay? Because we got to move away from, we're talking about moving from a matrix dependent mindset. It has to start at home. It has to start at home. It's already been proven. How many more years do you need to know? Do you need to go through to find out, to discover that just because you have black faces in high places, that doesn't work in of itself? So you have to say, bump that. I am done with that. Okay, I'm done with that. You're not going to get me anymore with the first black stuff. You're not getting with me on that anymore. That ain't doing nothing for me anymore. Now the first black begins here in my backyard. How about that? It begins in my own. I'm the first black. How about that? I'm going to be the first black person. Okay, that's what I'm going to be. Okay, it ain't going to be in the White House. It ain't going to be in the big house in the state. It ain't going to be the mayor. I'm the first black person. Okay, and as the first black person here, what am I going to do? Let me focus on finding quality water for my family and making sure while they're trying to figure all that stuff out, let me make sure that I got some good water in my house. So here's the solution here. We've talked about this. If you are someone that has followed us for some time, we have talked about this site many, many times. And no, this ain't some pitch for me selling anything. I'm not selling anything. It's just a tool that I came across. They're not paying me a doggone thing. They don't know me. I don't know them. But I found their information quite valuable. And I'm just passing it on to you. Fine. Let's see. Trying to find it here. I'm pull it up here. Here it is. And they have updated their page. I want you to make sure you bookmark this page. This is something I brought up many, many times. Findaspring.com. The website is findaspring.com. Again, this is not a paid advertisement. They don't know me. I don't know them. This is something I've actually have talked about quite extensively. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. This is just a free thing, okay? And basically the way it works is you just go here, map a spring. I'm just going to click on that. And literally what it does, let's say we're in North America. So we just, look at all of these springs. Most of these springs are free. Most of these springs are free. Look at all of these springs. So regardless of where you are, again, the website is findaspring.org, actually. I put in .com, but it swung into .org. So it's findaspring.org. And so basically what you do is you type in your state, where you're located, and it will tell you, it'll give you a lot of information about that particular spring. Okay, so this is the Old Bluff Church spring. I just clicked on that. Let's see what it says. And so, it gives you a rating for it, and if somebody has gone there, they will tell you, hey, listen, this spring maybe doesn't have a whole lot of water to it. Maybe there was a smell to it or something like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't really rely too much on all of those ratings, because some of them are kind of outdated or whatever. The best thing for you to do is to make a phone call or two, find out as much information on a local level. And then you can go from there. I'm just randomly clicking on some. Here's another one here. This is in North Kakalaki, and and again, it will tell you, give you information about the spring. If it's free, what you have to do, things you need to look out for, all that kind of stuff. But this is a very good tool that you can check out on your own and look it up. It also will give you information on hot springs as well. So if you're someone that really likes hot springs, it will give you that. All right. So this is a good starting point, but you also got to do your homework on the local level to make sure that these springs are still active. Many of them are, some of them maybe they're not, that kind of thing. And then once you get the water, you still have to filter it. That's what I would do. I'm not going to drink straight out of it unless it's a spring that has been taken care of, like the one I used to go to in New Jersey, where I would just fill up and I would get a we have a Berkey here in the house, and so I would just fill that Berkey up, and the Berkey will filter out whatever bad is in it. And we've had no problems. I had no problems drinking out of that filter. None, absolutely none. So that's a way that you can do it. We're here in the desert. There are springs, but they're in the northern part of the state. And one of these days I will do that. But there's people I know, I've heard of many people making the drive up all the time and filling up with water and all of that, so there are a lot of springs. Don't buy into the lie that make it, where people are out here telling you that, the water supply is drying up and we don't have any water. We are sitting on just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of water, okay, that's out here. So you have to get out of your mindset of just relying on the system. Because as long as you rely on the system, I don't care if the people running a black, white, whatever, ultimately they do not, most cases don't care about you. They don't, okay? So this is why you have to take it into your own hands and take matters in your own hands and make sure that your families are taken care of when it comes to some of these basic things. And like in this case here, we're talking about drinking water. So again, that website is findaspring.org. All right, just bookmark it and you can check that out on your own. Okay, so that's our first story there. So I just wanted to cover that as well. Now, as far as your sewage stuff is concerned, you do your homework on that, but just don't be sticking your behind outside the window and leave. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, you got some people out there be like, I just put it in a bucket and we use it in our garden. I'm like, okay, I'm not coming to your house. But anyway, let's move on. Next story, Jesse Jackson lying in state, literally. But the whole story about Jesse Jackson, they're claiming that, oh Lord, they have, because they're saying that they have made the request. Anytime you have a high profile individual who passes away, they make a request to, especially someone at a level of, I know that really don't look like him, y'all, but I'm just putting him up there just to fill up the white space there. Okay. Anyway, I tried, y'all. I tried, or, they tried. Anyway, so Jesse Jackson. So anyway, so they tried to they made an appeal to get him to lie in state at the rotunda or whatever in Washington, D.C. But the Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, declined it. And so all on social media, they have been saying, see, this is racism all over again. See, black people, they just, what it is, once again, they don't like black people. Even in death, he's still dealing with racism and all of that stuff, right? Well, let's take a look. All right, let's take a look exactly what is the case here. And I'm going to actually read to you something, because the argument was already being made that, that Charlie Kirk, they had him lie in state, and even that was a lie. All right, so let me just pull this up on the screen here, and I'll just show it to you. Okay, let's just go to the, let me pull this up here on the screen, and I'll just read this to you, okay? So just what I asked and what it's going to tell us, okay? Beyond this headline, this was an article. It was an article I found on CNN. I said, behind this headline, how does Mike Johnson's decision, he's the Speaker of the House, square with Charlie Kirk lying in state legally? Because again, people were making this claim that Charlie Kirk was lying in state. Well, got to find out he actually did not. Well, here's the story. Mike Johnson's denial of the request of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. to lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol is framed as adhering strictly to historical precedent, limiting the rare honor of primarily former presidents, high-ranking military officials, and select government leaders. This practice has been applied sparingly for private citizens or activists, which only a handful of exceptions like Rosa Parks and John Lewis in recent decades. So I guess the government is racist, was so racist that it gave Rosa Parks and John Lewis the honors of doing that. But all of it, but it's even more racist now because they won't do that to Jesse Jackson. Okay, anyway. Sources indicate the decision was not politically motivated, but based on consistency with how similar requests were handled. Check this out. Again, this is what they leave out, including denials for figures such as, like former Vice President Dick Cheney and conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who died September 2025, because there was a congresswoman who actually tried to push a piece of legislation to get Charlie Kirk to lie in state, but Congress denied it. So anybody out here saying that, they're a liar. That never happened. Okay. Legally, the process of allowing someone to lie in honor for civilians or to lie in state for officials in the Capitol Rotunda requires a concurrent resolution passed by both House and Senate, often initiated or approved by the Speaker. In Kirk's case, Representative Nancy Mace introduced such a resolution shortly after his death, but it ultimately did not pass, resulting in a denial aligned with the same restrictive guidelines cited for Jackson. Johnson's approach thus appears consistent across ideological lines, as both Jackson, a civil rights leader and Democratic figure, and Kirk, a prominent conservative voice, were treated similarly under the precedent that reserves the honor for a narrow majority of national figures. The most recent instance was for former President Jimmy Carter. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So for people that want to say that this is some kind of racial motivation stuff, they're a whole lie. But they were taking, I saw people that were, in the media, black folks in the media. I saw white people in the media. I saw all these great thinkers, all of these people that were taken to social media making this claim that this was a racially motivated thing. But anybody that would take 2 seconds and look this up, you would see that, or just go back in your own memory, you would see for yourself. Rosa Parks, they gave her that honor. John Lewis, they gave their honor. But it didn't apply, in this case, it doesn't apply to someone like Jesse Jackson, period, end of discussion. But see, as far as I'm concerned, he don't deserve any of that. Okay, quite honestly, he doesn't deserve any of that. Because again, they want to keep on getting you to forget what this man actually did. And I told you in our last broadcast, I went through it and I showed you the receipts. And I played you the video from Hosea Williams, where it talks about, that's why he got this red on in here, is because that the day that it was the day or so that when King was shot, there's blood on the floor. They already removed the body. The leaders are there. They're distraught. Everybody's distraught. Jackson goes into the room where the blood is still on the ground. He takes the blood of Dr. King, wipes it on his shirt. And he's telling the people around him, he's saying that before he died, he told me to take black people to the mountaintop. And then next thing you know, dude is on a plane to Chicago where he gave this long speech with the shirt on that had the blood on it. And he's talking about how, making this dramatic case. And that was the pivotal moment that made Jesse Jackson to what he later became known as this big civil rights icon. But I don't give two craps about him in life or in death. I don't. Because anybody whose character was birthed out of something like that, I'm sorry, I'm going to call it out for what it is. I'm going to call it out for what it is. That's a whole lie. And Hosea Williams, he made sure he called him out on spot. He said he said they had to pull him off of his neck when he saw what this man did. He said he went after him and they had to pull him off his neck. And then later, Andrew Jackson, down in Atlanta, here he comes. Andrew Jackson, here he comes, and they asked him about it. And Andrew Jackson, he was like, Well, well, hey, that's a Baptist thing. Baptists, we kind of believe and think that way when it comes to blood. We're real serious about about blood. And I'm sitting up here, I was like, now I have never heard of anybody talking about a Baptist taking human blood and wiping it on their shirt. I ain't never heard of that. But here we go. You know what I'm saying? And people just excuse, and keep excusing stuff over and over again. They just keep excusing it over and over again. And I was thinking today, I said, it's not that much different from, what's the boy name? Sean Combs. If you think that when I saw the documentary, it was no different than, and I'm going to touch on this in a little bit. It was no different than what I see going on in the church. You can't tell me that nobody knew this kind of stuff was going on except a couple of people. You can't tell me that. And in the documentary, they were telling you, people were coming out and saying, oh yeah, well, we knew he was like that and we knew he was into and all of that stuff. Now, the culture may have been such where if you said something, you were afraid, so you didn't say anything. But make no mistake about it, people knew exactly what was going on. And what I'm telling you is that all of these dusty civil rights people, these people were thrown off in secret. They were perverted. A lot of them were doing some very dark stuff. But these people know full well what was going on, but they keep it cloistered. They keep it in secret because they have to keep an image up. And see what people do, particularly of that generation, what they'll do is say, well, we're not all perfect. We're not all right and all that. And that's okay. Let's just focus on the good. No, because when I look at the progress, the overall progress, because if your character was right in secret, black folks would have been a lot much further along in public. Do you understand what I'm saying? There would have been some real progress that would have happened if we were holding ourselves accountable in what we're doing behind closed doors. But the reason why we don't do that is because many of us got skeletons in your closet. You got the same thing. So you're afraid to hold yourself accountable. So therefore you don't hold them accountable. So you ever thought of that? You think that, all of this power that we talk about that came through the civil rights movement and, man, we were strong and we did all this stuff. It's 2026. Yeah, it was so much power. 300,000 plus black women lost their jobs. Oh, look at all of that power. It was so powerful. All 92%, they couldn't even get an Indian woman elected. Now that's bad. Now that's bad. You can't get an Indian woman elected, let alone your own. But we got all of this power. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's an illusion. It's an illusion. And it's time that we start waking up. And it starts by you waking up. It starts by you being honest and saying, you know what? Nah, we can't do this anymore. Nah, you wrong. That stuff that you're doing, nah, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. Snip, let me get up out of here. Nope, I'll do that, Unc. No, we're going to stop calling you crazy, Unc. No, you a molester, and you need to get up out of here. How about that? We need to start calling that out. I'll call the cops. You understand what I'm saying? And hats off to the individuals who are coming out now. I saw a video the other day, young lady, she about in her 20s, sitting in the car. And she said, after all of these years, I'm finally going to tell y'all what happened to me. Unfortunately, she's doing this on social media, whatever. Only reason I got issues with that, I think stuff needs to be public, but you do need to get some help too, because when you're open like that in public, if you haven't gotten help privately, what happens, you open yourself to a lot of crazies out there that's going to tell you all kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? You got to make sure you're starting off on the right track when you're getting the help that you need, on that. But anyway, beyond that, what I'm saying is I am noticing people are coming out and they're coming out and they're saying it what it is. Hey, listen, no, he may have been a pastor and all that, but for real, he was doing some stuff to me. You know what I mean? Or whatever it may have been the case. And it don't have to be molestation. It could be anything. But we're going to have to start measuring people by the content of their character. All right? Because if you don't do that, you're going to continue to have dookie in your water, like we said earlier. You're going to continue to have dookie in your water. All right? So anyway, I was telling my wife the other day, because she dropped all that weight that she said that she had. I didn't care. I loved her even without. It didn't bother me none one bit, because every time I look at her, she's still the same Nicole to me. I mean, it didn't bother me. But I will say this. I did notice when she did lose weight, I was like, wow, okay. All right, I didn't. But it didn't bother me any. Not once did I ever walk around. I'm just being honest. I never walked around. I was like comparing her, looking at her, and then we go out and I see somebody else that's skinning into her and all. After a while, you've been married long enough. You don't even be looking at stuff like I don't. I mean, you notice people that got, out here in Arizona now, it's hard. I know some of y'all where you live, you see the same thing. It'd be people about 400 pounds, got them what you call them yoga pants on. Them yoga pants, they got it hooked up with it.
Watch it, brother.
it lift them cheeks up and all that. So it's like, come on. But anyway, it just, after a while, it's just too much of that. It's whatever. But I don't even be looking at. But anyway, I was looking at her the other day. I told her, I said, why? I knew. I said, once you lost, it wasn't going to come back. And she's still losing. I was saying, she's losing but winning. But anyway, she is doing, why I got Jesse still up here?
Yeah, get Jesse on.
Anyway, so she has been doing this thing. She has something we've been doing since we've been married, basically.
Yeah.
And she has turned it officially into something that is helping a lot of people now on a much larger scale. And so with that, I'm just going to have her come in and she's going to talk about that. And then we're going to get back. I have like 2 more stories, y'all, and then we're going to call it the day. But without further ado, come on in and sit on the sat. Sat on the Sabbath. Anyway, no, I'm just playing. Anyway.
Silly.
You go on and sat right there.
Hey. There's a camera. His cameras are always everywhere. Hey. I don't know how he does this because the camera's here and the screen is here, so it's strange, but hey. Dwayne said, why don't you just come breeze on through and talk a little bit about how the coaching is going? And I was like, but I need to do this. I got this to do. I was like, okay. So here I am. So I see some of y'all in the chat. How you doing? I feel very good today. I just feel very good. Don't you feel good today, baby? I feel good today. Very, very good. I will make it brief while he takes his little intermission. But yes, coaching is going really, really, really well. And like he said, we've been coaching. I've been coaching for over 10 years, but I never had created or carved out a space to offer it publicly. It had just been through business associates and people that I knew through social connections and things like that became my clients. So this was the first time really just creating a space on our platform for it. And I have to tell you, I have been so enjoying your coaching sessions. I am enjoying getting to know you better. I am enjoying your stories, your, allowing me to kind of wade in the water of your world. And it's really been, you're watering me. So for those of you that, have signed up and we are meeting, thank you. And you've been getting breakthroughs. And that is the most rewarding part for me. One of my clients said to me, when we met on her second session, and I asked her, how have you been feeling? How was this first week or strong? How was this first week? After your first session, was it? And she said, a coworker said to me, you look so much more uplifted and you look so much more just energetic. Did something happen? Like, what's going on with you? Literally, no lie, telling you the truth. And she said, well, that coach I was telling you about? Well, we had our first session and I found out the reason why, blah, 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 what was going on with me. I didn't realize that that's what it was. And it just feels so good having answers, right? Because when light is shined or shown, you guys who are the grammatical experts in the chat, you can tell me whether it's when light is shined or no, when light is shined or when light has shone. I believe that's the right, that's the right. Shown. Anyway, when light is shined on an area, how about this? When light shines on an area, we just say what we know is right. When light shines on an area, you're able to see those hidden things that were there, that were literally hiding in the cut, right? So you have a problem or you have a situation that you're dealing with or that is dealing with you, and light comes, right? And a spotlight shines on that area. The residue that was there, that's contributing to how you're feeling, or the different, factors that are hidden, they now come to light. And now we can go in and we can address those things one by one. And the client has a better understanding of what is happening with them. And I'm telling you, understanding is 50% of the battle. It's when we don't know what's going on, when we don't know why we feel the way we feel, when we don't know, why we're in this rut or why we can't move forward, or when we think we know why we're in this rut. Because that's the other thing that can happen. We're inundated with so much information. You get information on your socials, you're getting information, as you do research, you're getting information from your friends and your family that are sharing, honey, what I think you need to do, right? And you're getting all of this information. And so we feel like, okay, so I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, this is what I need to do. And you're getting so much information but your problem is still staying the same. Because so many times it's not about the information that you're getting, because the information doesn't always change you. It can make you feel better, like I just said in the first example. It can make you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not so much in the dark. Okay, I got it. But you have to move beyond the information into the transformation that happens internally, right? Because the information just sits on the outside. It's knowledge. We know what to do. We know how to do it. We know why this is happening or why our brain is doing this or that, or why we feel lonely or whatever. But transforming the inside of us, our nervous system, our thought patterns, right? Our outlook, right? Changing those things, having a transformation on the inside allows the external things to be put in their place, all right? It allows them to be put in proper perspective. So molehills don't look like mountains, so that 2 or 3 things that we need to do don't seem like these unachievable, huge obstacles that we can't overcome. It's a lot about the internal work that changes the external reality. So anyway, I'm having a ball. I don't know where all that came from, but I guess I'm just moving through love today. I do want to share 2 testimonies. These are from, one is from a past client and the other one is from a past and present client. So I want to share these two with you real quick. Oh, let me say hey to people that are saying hey in the chat. Let's see. Calculated crescendo. What's up? Oh, he just deleted the chat, so I can't see. I did see Mauricia, but I am not sure. Still, after all these years, and I know I've asked you, I don't know if it's Mauricia or Mauricia. Please tell me again. Please, sister, tell me again. Peace and Mind Counseling. We love you so much and what you do. Let me say something really quickly about Mauricia. We've interacted with her over the years, lightly. I've never had a sit down with her, but what I do know and what my husband, has learned is that she's good people. She's good people, like really good people. And she has a really good spirit, and she wants to see people heal. She wants to see people grow. She wants to help counsel people to the next level. Let me tell you what I'm doing right now, okay? This, what's flowing out of me is love. What you're seeing is what some people will do is you have someone who's not in the same space, because I'm not a mental health professional. I'm a coach. She's a counselor, right? And she may do coaching as well, but she has a counseling practice. I have a coaching offering, right? So what most people will do is ignore that person in the chat, because it's like, what if people go and check, want to work with her and not me? No, baby, no, we don't do that. Why? Because your people will find you. If you put yourself out there, which I need to do more of, been very busy, but I'm trying to get more free. If you put yourself out there, your people will come find you. So I'm not concerned about people that sign up with Mauricia or Mauricia, Peace and Mind Counseling. I think she has a YouTube channel. Go check her out. Because guess what? If they sign up with Mauricia, those are her people. And they may need counseling. I don't provide counseling on a mental health professional level, right? So go check her out. And because there's room enough for everybody to do what we do. You understand what I'm saying? There's more than enough room for us to do what we do. And we should refer each other to each other. That's how we grow as a community, right? Especially the ones that are we doing good stuff. Let me share these testimonies with you real quick. Yeah. These are real life testimonials. They are not AI. Okay. We use AI for marketing. We use AI for, artwork, music, but we don't make up testimonies. Okay. So I'm going to share this one with you real quick. It says, real client testimonial, be it business, marriage, parenting, or even deeper matters of spiritual and physical health. I have yet to encounter a subject matter Nicole was not able to shed a resounding light upon. Having someone to not only listen, but be an amazing sounding board for life's issues, great or small, has been a huge benefit to me. She has a gift in getting me to see a situation from angles I had not previously considered. She has provided me with real life tools that have helped me grow as a wife, mom, and overall person through her coaching and mentorship several years later. And those tools have helped me to build the life I once thought would be too difficult to achieve. And that's from SJ. I thank you so much. And I appreciate you for that. Let me put up the next one. How do I get rid of this one?
You see that X on the left-hand side?
Yeah, I was looking for the X. I don't see it. It's just some lines. Oh, that one. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Okay. Here's the other one. And this is from Chris in Paris, France. And real picture, not AI. And so it says, I've been receiving coaching from Nicole for several years, covering areas ranging from business and personal development to marriage coaching for my wife and me. That was my husband and I did joint coaching. for marriage and for business, actually. Throughout this journey, I have consistently felt understood and safe to open up. She is deeply insightful, highly practical, and an excellent teacher. Her coaching combines emotional support with the courage to deliver hard truths that go straight to the core of the issue. I wholeheartedly recommend her to anyone seeking sound principles, clarity, and the determination to move forward with confidence. I appreciate you, Chris, for that. So, and as you can see, Chris is a male. So I changed, some of you that will see on the coaching page on sambatree.com, the description for one-on-one coaching, because that's what we're talking about, one-on-one coaching. There will be some offerings for classes, group classes down the line, but not right now. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. And the description said for women, this is for women, this is for women. And that always just had me tweaked a little bit. Like I didn't feel comfortable with that, because as you can see, I have coached men jointly with my husband. And then there's some areas where I'm just coaching, for the gentleman I just showed, just coaching him directly. But, he is young enough to be my son. Okay. So, but either way, coaching, people think that it just benefits the person being coached. It benefits the coach as well. I've literally come alive. And that's something that I would just say as I close up, is that everybody needs a coach. It may not be me. I may not be your woman. Like I may not be it for you. That's good. That's fine. But everybody needs a coach, or if not a coach, a mentor in some way, right? Getting you to the next place, getting you to the next level. Because like I mentioned, when we are on social media, you have many, many voices in your ear, and you may feel like you can go it alone, but there is a certain power and energy and synergy that happens when you partner with someone, right? And you walk together into the direction that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve and to build a life that you want to build. Even if it's one part of your life that you want to see improve, right? Or benchmark that you want to reach. There is nothing like partnering on that journey. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. Everybody needs it. So I would encourage you in your life journey, to seek out a coach, a mentor, someone that can help you, walk with you, understand you. Look, understand. I don't do all that. It's taxing. It's too much. But somebody that can really, get in there with you, that you can feel safe, comfortable, share what's happening, get honest feedback, and work together to move forward. It is priceless. It's priceless. And the last thing I'm going to say, very last thing, before I turn it back to you, is this. In the world that we are living in, that is changing it is changing like at the speed of light, right? I know I talk about, every time I get on here, I talk about AI, because I don't feel like people understand how dramatically it's going to change the world that we live in, going to and currently change. Joblessness, and I'm not trying to dump, but joblessness is going to be at an all-time high. And people who thought it would never happen to me, I've been here for 20 years, I'm good. When that bell rings, right, and that hammer drops or whatever, they're not going to have an identity. Why? Because their identity was in what they do, not who they are. What they are doing, not who they are being. Okay? You ask any parent, hey, how's your son doing? I haven't seen him in a while. Well, he's busy with soccer, and we're trying to, work on him. He's getting ready to graduate, and then he thinks he's going to go on to college. And the parent answers with what their child is doing, not how their child is in their being. Meaning, he's getting there, he's going through some changes, in this adolescence, it's difficult, but he's doing better. It's always about what we're doing. So when you meet someone out there, you're, whatever, it's, oh, what do you do? It's always, what do you do? Why? Because in this society, identity is attached, is inseparable with your job, your work, how much money you make, what you do. So when the what you do is gone, when the job is gone and AI drops into your world, and your job says, or your company says that your job is you're no longer needed for your job. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. All of a sudden, this identity that you have clung to is now what? Who am I? Who am I? And some people they're not going to be able to deal with that, right? They're not going to be able to handle it because it's been their self-esteem for so long. What I would advise, and I'm done, what I would advise is you need to begin to connect, learn how to connect really with other people, but first to connect with who you are, to explore who you are, why you are here, what is your purpose, who do you really want to be? Are you living the life that you really want to live? Are there dreams out there that you have suppressed, forgotten, sat on the shelf, thought you weren't worthy for, decided it was too much, you weren't good enough to do them? What are those things? It's time to begin to explore those things, because the only people that will thrive in these coming years as AI begins to take more market share, job share, and everything are people who have truly become who they were built to be, who they were meant to be, who they were placed on this earth to be, and who are operating at that frequency. Those are the people that are going to thrive and survive. Those are the people, I'm telling you, that are going to win. Those are the people that are going to win. I'm not saying you can't use AI to do this and do that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the only thing that AI cannot do is be you. Now, might be able to clone you, okay? It might create an AI twin that looks like you and has your voice, but it doesn't have your frequency, your spirit. It doesn't have that. It doesn't. That is the thing that people are drawn to. That is what brings your people to you. That is what creates connections that last. That is what creates connections that take you to the next level in your life journey. Work on that. Learn what that is. Explore that. I'm telling you, change your life. Okay, I'm done. I'm off. If you want to coach with me, you can go to sambatree.com, click on coaching. The plug was the least important thing. Everything else was just me, giving you some love on a Saturday. Love y'all. Bye.
All right, we're back. So I hope you guys got something out of that, and really good stuff. And if you're ready, make sure you head over to sambatree.com, and all the information is there. You just go to sambatree.com, click on under coaching, and all the information is there. And I told you, my wife and I, we are committed to being a part of seeing lives changed, transformed. You know what I mean? Like for real. Not just you just declaring it every day and that's it, but you literally walking this out. And that's what we want to see. And that's what we do. And over on sambatree.com, that's what we're all about over there and here too. I mean, it's the same thing. So again, really appreciate that. Let's get back into this. How was your break, Dwayne? I was sitting right here, so I was just sitting in and listening. My break is when I'm finished. I was just sitting over there thinking, what am I going to get to eat? And I was like, some days I just had that, man, I just want something like some red sauce, like Italian. You know what I mean? Like not so much a lot of spaghetti per se, but I just love just marinara sauce. I love it. Love it. It's just the perfect blend. Oh, I know what I'm gonna have. My wife made a soup last night. It was 100%. I told her this was 100%. Whatever you did, we're gonna keep doing it. Now, speaking of food, let me ask you guys this. Have you ever heard of something called chicken bog? Chicken bog. I want to see how many country people we have in the audience today. Chicken bog. Have you ever heard of it? Don't look it up. Have you at least heard of it? Have you ever heard of something called chicken bog? Anyway, I'll tell you about it. Basically, my uncle, and like I said, we're gonna hit this story. We're gonna get through it real quick, but this is part of my little intermission here too. I was gonna play some music, but I was gonna do this. But anyway, my Uncle Bill, many years ago, I remember I was young. We went down in South Carolina to, visit or whatever. And I think someone had passed. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was my grandfather, somebody. And, in funerals, like when someone passes, in the Black community, a lot of times, it's a good thing to see people come together. You always love doing that. Anyway, and so I can recall, like, whoever this was that passed, they just will be casually, someone comes through and then they just bring in food. It can be all kind of times of the day or in the evening or whatever. You get a knock on the door. It'd be like, oh, so-and-so's here. You come in and say hi. And he's like, oh, I ain't trying to bother anybody. I just cooked these collard greens and some this and that or whatever. And, and then you bring it on in the kitchen. And your kitchen is just piling up with food. Everyone's making like the best of food, man. I'm telling you. Now, that's one thing I do. Anyway, so he brought over, I could still see it in my eye, y'all. It was one of them tall silver pots. And they said, this is chicken bog. Okay. Chicken bog basically is this. Just think of this. It's a very local dish. And it's something that was actually inspired by both a combination of Native American, but also Native Americans that lived in that area in North Carolina and South Carolina area, but also Black Americans as well. And so think of it almost as an Americanized jollof. Okay, so basically what it is, you take a whole chicken and then you put it you put it in a big pot. When I say a whole chicken, I mean bones and all, right? And then you're going to make sure you put your peppers, your onions, a whole bunch of different seasonings and all of that in there. And you just let it boil, and you boil it until the chicken is done. So once the chicken is done, you take out the whole chicken and you sit it to the side, sit it on your cutting board. And then you're going to pull off all that chicken. You're going to pull it all off the bone. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take I think about 2 cups of that broth, and then you're going to pour it into a new pot along with some other peppers and onions and other things too that you saute in that pot. And then you put in rice. Now, typically when you cook rice, you cook it with water, right? But no, you're actually cooking the rice in the broth that you just made. So the broth that rice is going to taste, it's just going to taste like chicken through and through. So it ain't so at the end, it's not like rice on top of something or that something on top of rice. No, that rice is soaked with all of that seasoning and that chicken. And so you got that. And then then later on you add your chicken. Then later on you add your spices and all of that stuff. And then you add sausage. I think it's, how you say, anjoli? I don't know how you say it. But anyway, you add slices of sausage in there too. And you just cook it down until your rice is all the way completed and all of that. And so what you're left with it's a rice-based dish, but it has chicken, it has a sausage in it, it has all those onions and peppers and all of that in there. When I tell you, that thing left a positive stain in my soul because I haven't had it since. I think I asked my wife, this was many years ago, to try to make something like, I tried to describe it to her, But then she, she did the best she could, and it was good and all of that. And of course, it was eaten, but it just my soul is still just longing, and so. So I passed it. I mentioned it to my mom, and of course, she gave me the whole history lesson. Right? She told me that, and she passed on. She sent me some recipes and all that, and she sent me, I think it was a handwritten recipe. It wasn't for chicken bog, it was for something else. But man, I saw that as it was the scrolls from the mountain. I'm telling you, she sent me the screenshots from my grandma. I was like, that's it. I said, I'll take that too as my dessert. But this chicken bog, so I found it, black guy from that area where my family's from, and it's gonna be a whole wrap because I'm gonna make it. I gotta make it. I have to make it. That thing was so good. I'm still thinking about it right now. It's bringing tears to my eyes. You don't see it because I got a filter on. But no, it's but man, oh man. So yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's called chicken bog. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That thing was so good. Jeez. Anyway, let's move on to our last story here, y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Where is my book? My handy dandy notebook. Where I put it? Ooh, where I put it? Hold on. Oh boy, where did I put this? Hold on, y'all. Oh. All right, here we go. Back. Okay, here we go. So we're going to talk about this movie. The name of the movie is called Is God Is. Is God Is. Let me get the movie poster up here for you. It's called Is God Is. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I would play the trailer for you, but I remember I did it. I tried that before, and then they got me on that. And I'm like, if anything, it's an advertisement for you. How you gonna copyright me on that? So anyway, let me get this poster up here on the screen for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me move some things over here so now stuff won't be showing up. All right, there we go. Here we go. It's called Is God Is. And you take a look at it and you see the title of it. It says, Make Your Daddy Dead, Real Dead. And so basically the movie premise is that I believe it's about a father who basically set fire to his family. I guess while they were in the house, the two daughters and the mother. And so they're going through, when you look at the trailer, it starts off as it's naming, like it'll say like the mother is God. And they'll say so-and-so the healer, so-and-so the lawyer, so-and-so the banker. And they keep naming people. And then when they get to the father, they say Sterling, whatever his the actor Sterling K something, whatever his name is. They say so-and-so Sterling. They'll say Sterling's monster. And he's the father. So this whole movie is about them basically hunting down their dad so that they can basically take him out. And, they said it's kind of on a level, it's like gothic, kind of like the way it's made. It's like if you like Kill Bill or something like that. Well, this is Kill Dad. And let me see. So I posted let me see on my community page here, because I actually posted it on my community page here, just a snippet, and you guys can check that out. But like I said, the trailer is out, and like I said, I would play it for you, but like I said, I remember doing that before, and they said they didn't want me to do that, so I didn't. So anyway, so Vivica Fox, she's playing the mother. It's right here. So yeah, so this is what I was talking about right here. So that's Vivica Fox. She's God, supposedly. Sterling K. Brown, the monster. And so, I saw this and I said, here we go again. And so I looked at, the author, of course, she's a feminist and all of that. And so here's my thing on this. I said, this is more of the same. Am I saying, number one, that black men are above, that anytime you do a movie about a black man, it has to be something positive? No. I mean, if you're going to do, a story is a story is a story. You got stories that are about good things. You got stories about everyday things. You got stories that are about bad things. So that's just stories of stories. That's normal. You know what I mean? And some people, it depends on how you feel that day or that week or that month or that time of the year. You're going to turn to certain stories. That's just the nature of stories. So I don't have an issue with that. I don't. But what I do have an issue with is this tendency of a specific group of people, mainly these are black feminists or gay men, who come up with these movies where in many cases they always tend to project or portray the black man as some evil monster. That's where I have issues with, where you always skew to that. Meanwhile, the black woman is seen as someone that she's the fighter. She's the one that's going to push through all the BS and all of that. And she's the one that's going to, all of that. It's always that. And so when I was when I'm seeing the trend, it's like, okay, like someone was saying, well, why you basically trying to say I'm being soft for, saying something because it's portraying a black man in a not positive light. And I said, no, that's not. I said, that's what you're saying. I said, but I said the same thing when it comes to, the movie Precious, for example, which I will not see and I will never see in any lifetime. For colored girls, I would never in any lifetime watch that movie. All I had to do is just read a little bit about what it was about. And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not watching that. And it's all falls in what I call trauma porn. And it's just basically trauma. And, and it's of no value other than that. It's just, you come out of that, you feel like you've been beat up, feel like you the one that was tossed out of the window. And it's just trauma. Now, you think about like even the movie Color Purple. When the movie Color Purple came out, I remember seeing it in the theater. I think for me and a lot of other black people as well, the reason why that movie was liked a lot at that time so much was because this was a very high quality, because you had Steven Spielberg that produced it. So the quality of the cinematography and all of that was on point. And that was really one of the first movies we've seen in a long time that was done at such a high quality. And the actors and all that were good and all of that. So that movie in of itself, I was just happy just to see that. You know what I mean? Again, it was that time. But when I rewind a little bit as I got a little bit older, and I was sitting up here thinking, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm looking at all the men in this movie. All the men were bad. All of them were. Alice Walker, when you start reading about her history, I think if someone correct me if I'm wrong, she married a Jewish man, if I'm not mistaken. But in some of her writings, she sounds like she always had an issue with black men. Now, that's not to say that she hasn't, and I'm going to get into that in a moment. I mean, there's truth. I'm not sitting up here saying that black men are so angelic and black men never do anything. That is not what I'm saying at all. Like I said, I want you to hear me out on this, okay? Because that is not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is what we call entertainment, why does it always skew portraying black men a particular way? Because we're already dealing with that in a much wider world that we live in right now, where black folks for years have always been portrayed a particular way. But now in this, that there's some controls that are being handed over, it's just, the tradition continues. And that's where I have issues with. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but it is reflecting of something that I am saying that is happening a lot. And that is, it's like I said, the two people I saw very excited about this film were black women and gay men. And this is the two groups of people that were actually trying to come at me before even saying anything. And then the moment I mentioned the other movies I said that I had problems with, like I said, Precious and Four Color Girls and all of that. I said no, and please, I'm sorry, and I'm being respectful here, but miss me with the whole finally. Well, the reason why I like the movie is because finally we are telling our stories about some of the things that aren't comfortable to talk about. Okay, that may be some people saying that, but the overwhelming majority are like, child, I want to see me some Sterling K. Brown. Oh man, that cast is going to be stacked and all of that. They're talking about everything else, but when you come out of the theater, everything's still the same. It's really about entertainment. It's taking our trauma and turning it into another form of entertainment. That's what I have issues with, because it doesn't go anywhere after that. You're touching areas where that should be in some counseling center. You know what I'm saying? You don't just necessarily just go and, like, I remember I saw, it was this one movie, I forgot who was in it. This was years ago. It was a movie. It was a really good movie, but I came out of that, felt like I needed some counseling. I was like, man, I can't watch this stuff. But I'm seeing where this is like on the regular. Tyler Perry, a lot of his stuff that comes out, it just, I can't watch that stuff. And I'm talking more beyond. I mean, you're literally watching a movie that was done by someone who has admittedly come out of abuse out of his own life. And he's portraying the effects of this abuse on the big screen. And everybody's looking, oh, look at the representation we have. Again, I'm not saying that every movie we do has got to be about candy canes and gumdrops and rainbows. I'm not saying that at all. But when things always tend to skew in a certain direction, we do need to stop for a moment and say, okay, why is it always going there? And what I'm noticing, like I said, is I'm noticing this trend, and it's been going on for a while, is what it's bringing out is this allegiance or this alliance that has been forming for years between Black women. And remember what I said earlier in the broadcast, anytime you hear me on this platform, when I'm using the term Black women, don't think I'm talking about all Black women. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't, okay? We're all mature here. We're all adults, because I have to say that because sometimes people will hear that and think I'm saying all Black women fall into that and whatever it is I'm talking about. And I'm never saying that at all, okay? But what I'm seeing is there are many Black women that are out here who are aligning themselves and have been aligning themselves for years with gay men. Now, what I want to play for you now is a clip that I was going to play in the broadcast the last broadcast I did, but I just had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. But I want you to take a look at this clip, and you and I want y'all to take notice of some things on here. Okay, so let me get this clip up here. Let me see. Give me just a moment here, and because this is going to tie into the story. We're still going to talk about the story about the young man that they said they found lynched down in Georgia. It's going to tie into that as well. So please make sure you stay connected to that. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Well, let me look here. There's actually a tool they were saying I can get that would help me get these videos, my bookmarks better organized, but on X. But what happens is I'll bookmark stuff and I categorize them and everything. But what happens is when I go back to the bookmark section, it literally scatters them. And I have to spend all of this time trying to find things. It's got it all out of order. So let me see where else I could. Hold on. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Let me see. I'm definitely going to find it, And like I said, I did, let's see, podcast. All right. Yeah, that's one I'm definitely going to find. So like I said, just hang in there with me, and I'm going to get it for you. Let's see. All right, let me see. All right, well, let me look here. Davis. Wow. All right, let's see. Man. All right. Oh, okay, here we go. I found it. I think I found it here. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. This is it. I appreciate that, y'all, for your patience. Yeah, I found it. Okay, here we go. So let me show you this. This is a conversation. This was on the Art of Dialogue podcast. And this is just give you an idea. This is background stuff, but just give you an idea. I searched for the Art of Dialogue in my bookmarks. It didn't come up, but I had to go some other way. And then they're going to need to fix that anyway, because it takes up so much of my time looking up stuff. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this interaction here and study this very, very closely here. Basically, you have, in this case, it's an actor by the name of Clifton Powell. Many of you are familiar with him, and if not, you'll see his face, and most people, you'll know who this guy is. He's at a roundtable discussion. Now, in this roundtable discussion, you think it's just a regular group of men, but actually, no, this was a group of, part of this group are men that represent a reproductive rights organization. Okay. So it's a loaded situation, but either way, I wouldn't care. But anyway, I want you. And so they're talking about, in this clip, they're talking about the importance of, you have this young man who's going to basically put out there about how older people seem to be out of touch and really don't care about younger people. It's something to that effect, but let me play the clip for you. Let's take a listen, and then I'll break it down for you.
So the one thing that I just want to talk about in Luke, make sure I say the name right, crop this part out. Okay. What Luke brought up was like accountability. Like, yes, we can talk about, what our families did to us, all this, all that, but eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired, and, kind of like putting onto them like, hey, you didn't do this entirely, because everybody in here, several people have talked about going to counseling. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know fucking how to
love. Can I say one more thing? No, I have to say this, because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right, just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me...
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues with.
Because I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said, I said 60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Y'all overtalk me.
I'm going to fucking overtalk you because you're fucking out
but you're not going to disrespect me.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, I am.
I do. Love it.
I do.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, I do.
You can't.
I do.
You don't know it, nigga.
I do.
I'm good. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You cannot can't fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but he's generalized. You can't. No, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro.
Yeah.
You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loving all the time. That's what our parents have gone through, and that's why we all so fucked up right now.
You asked, how do we love black women? Yeah. That's right here. Trust black women and listen to black women because they know more than we do what it is that they need.
I don't think that's true either. There's a lot of black women who don't know how to love.
I'm not talking about what they know how to love. I'm saying what they need as far as the reproduction.
I get that.
That's what we're talking about right now. Also, if we're going to use our privilege and power as men in society, how do we show up and be accountable, like you said?
Okay, so I was biting my tongue on that. That's the end of that particular clip, okay? So there's a lot of things I want to interject, but now I'm going to interject because I'm going to play it again, okay? Because now I'm going to interject. All right, so let's go.
Come on, but go ahead.
So the one thing that I just want to talk about in Luke.
So you can already see that there's a group of men at this table that are gay. They're gay, okay? And remember, I told you, if you're gay, whatever, that's your choice of life. Style, that's what you want to live, that's your choice. You grown. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care. I treat anybody as humans until you give me a reason not to. You understand what I'm saying? You come across me, you never gonna find me going some hissy fit and I ain't going around with them, nigga. I'm never like that. Now once I get in the car, they say so. But publicly, I'm going to treat you with the utmost respect, and trust me, you wouldn't even know. Oh, he really thinks like that. When I would see these people walking around with these MAGA hats on, I said, you guys are the dumbest people. I would never wear my politics out like that. I would never do that. Or if I have a certain opinion about certain people, I would never put that on a shirt. I'll never do anything like that. But you got people out there that do. But most people, regular human beings like you and I, we cool. We just go out, do our business. You would never know until once you really get to know me, you start hearing my real thoughts and opinions about certain things. And then I'll let you know then. But I'm still going to be respectful even with that. You understand what I'm saying? Got no problem with that. I remember when we were doing the real estate thing, when we were looking for a new house and we had this guy, he was talking about his husband and all this other stuff. I ain't changed a flinch or nothing. I was just like, whatever, as long as he's showing us you're doing what you're supposed to do as a real estate agent. I mean, I ain't got nothing, that's you. You know what I mean? What you do in your bedroom ain't got nothing to do with this bedroom. Okay, so there we go. So I don't have any issues with that. But what I do have an issue is when you are bringing a group of men together to talk about issues that are that these issues are supposedly going to move the community forward. I cannot be in union with someone who has some serious mental issues. I can't be in union with that. You do know that homosexuality, LGBTQ was something that they used to categorize as a psychological problem. Now they don't do it now, but it is. When you talk to many of these people, be it lesbians or homosexuals, they will tell you in most of their lives, they had somebody in their life that unfortunately did something to them that was very unfortunate, right? Or they didn't have somebody in place to help bring some balance. And because of that, that's why they turn to these lifestyles. But see, nobody wants to talk about that. Instead, we want to normalize it and make it a part of the family, so to speak. That's when I say make it part of the family, I'm saying a normal part of the family where it's just, well, he's crazy, but he's still in other words, okay, he may be of that lifestyle, but love him or love her enough to tell them the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Not just dismiss it as, well, that's just how they are. No. Why did they get that way? I wish one day I could open up and really tell you about stuff I know, you know what I mean? But about certain one, I'm not going to go there. But I'm telling you, this stuff happens all the time. But anyway, now I could do my breakdown on this. Okay. So a lot of these guys at the table are gay. So I can't have a straight up conversation as a man with people that I know that are of this lifestyle, because I know that there is something that you need to get help with first before we can talk about progress. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not going to see me sitting at a table talking about black progress, and I'm dealing with, and at the table, I'm with a woman who got her titties cut off. I'm sorry, I had to say it. And I'm going to sit up here and she stripped skin off of her leg or her arm to make a penis. And I'm supposed to sit there with a straight face and act like this is normal. No, that's Frankenstein, and I'm not in a horror movie. Okay, so I don't do that. Now, I'll still respect you and love you as a human being and all of that, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't have you think I'm gonna have a serious conversation about politics with someone that's of that life? The 92% people, y'all are the ones, that's who y'all were pushing. These people, Jasmine Crockett, all of these, Kamala Harris, all these people, this is the lifestyles that you guys are promoting. These simp men out here, this is the stuff that you're promoting. And these men, they will get up here and will browbeat other people who won't fall in line and say that you hate black people. But in reality, you guys are out here right now promoting this lifestyle. You got these precious little girls out here that are being told by other people that in order for you to feel like you are got yourself together, you got to go to a clinic and get your breast cut off. And you telling me that, and then you want to turn around and tell me, that's right, because Martin Luther King, he actually well, if he marched with that, then I'm glad I wasn't living during that time, because you would not catch my black ass up there at all. I would say, go get him. Go on, go keep doing it. Sick the dogs on them. I know that sounds crazy, don't it? I know that sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, don't it? But see, if you're going to align my legacy with a legacy that tells little girls that it's okay for you to cut your breast off, or to tell little boys to cut your penis off, and you're going to say that my legacy is tied with that, tell you what, take the elevator, do like Jerry did on that Tom and Jerry show. Remember we took that escalator and it went straight down to where? To hell. Go on down there. Going down there with Jerry or Tom, whatever, the Tomcat or whatever. Go on down the escalator, because that's where you need to be along with your legacy. But don't line my legacy up with that, period. Okay? No, not doing it. So anyway, let me get to the video, because it just really burns me up when I see this stuff. And let me continue to play it.
Make sure I say the name right. Crop this part out. Okay. What Luke brought up was like accountability. Like, yes, we can talk about, what our families did to us, all this, all that. But eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I ain't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about women.
Okay, so he ain't talked to his daddy in 6 years, but yet you want to argue like a woman and talk about black progress. So you said you don't give an F about, you haven't talked to your father in 6 years. So there's a broken link there between you and your father that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. I didn't say you got to get back together with your father. I just said that it needs to be fully addressed. And you're saying you don't give an F about that. That's not important to you. But yet you want to sit your whole ass on a table and you want to condemn other men for not listening to you because you want to take the place of a woman. See, this is why this is so insulting to me as a man. And I was telling my wife this earlier. I said, this is insulting to me as a man for two reasons. Number one, you are sitting in my face and you are trying to be as a woman. You're trying to speak as a woman. If I want to hear from a woman, I'm going to go to a woman and I'm going to hear from her. I don't need a man to speak on the behalf of a woman or women. You understand what I'm saying? That's why it's insulting to me, because you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. Anyway, let's go on.
My family has gone through, I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired and, kind of like putting onto them like.
See how he's doing? He's talking as if he's a woman. But keep on.
Okay, like you didn't do this entirely, because everybody in here, several people have talked about going to counseling. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know that I didn't know fucking how to
Can
love.
I say one more
Hold
thing?
on.
No, I have to say this, because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by
It's
this.
all right, just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues
I'm living
with.
it right the fuck now.
As I said,
Listen to
I
what
said
I'm saying.
60s.
See. Now both of them are going up, but see how he's already going up to 10. Gee, I wonder where he learned that from. All right, let's continue.
70s.
Let me say this.
Y'all overtalk
I'm
me.
gonna fucking overtalk you
I'm
because
good,
you're fucking out
but you're
of line.
not gonna disrespect
You don't know
me.
what the fuck you
Oh,
talking
I
about.
am.
I just
I
learned
do.
to love it.
I do.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do.
You can't.
Now you see that? Say I paused it right there for a reason. Now Clifton Powell, he's over there basically. He's speaking on his own behalf, and he's trying to make his point across. But he's by himself. He's sitting over there with other men. This guy right here, what do you see behind him? What do you see behind him? Here comes the black woman.
I do.
She now all of a sudden she got to calm him down and okay now.
I do.
I'm good. You don't know what the fuck you live. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You can't.
She got to calm him down. She got to
I
calm.
think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but he's generalized. You can't.
And then eventually he gets up. If you keep following it, this guy here, I'm going to keep scrolling here. Sorry. Look, see, he leaves the table. Where'd he learn that from? See, Clifton Powell, he's still at the table talking, but he gets up and leaves. This is what I'm saying. This level of high emotionalism and stuff, where's he learn that from? So here you had this, he lost it, trying to communicate. He automatically lost it, went to 10, and then here you had a woman come behind him and try to like kind of rest on his shoulder to try to calm him down. And then eventually, but that wasn't enough. He still gets up and leaves. I'm not going to, and then that's it, and just left. I'm just going to get out of here. This is exactly what you see playing out over and over and over again. These certain group of black women that are out here, they stand next to a lot of these gay men, and this is who they partner with. This is how they do it. This is how they do it. And notice how she was positioned. She's leaning on the gay man. Meanwhile, she's pointing to Clifton Powell, who I'm assuming he's straight, and telling him, using the position of this man who's actually gay, and basically pointing to Clifton Powell and saying, you need to calm down. This is exactly what you see played out all the time. All the time. And there are black men after black men that I'm seeing in these public spaces that are coming out. Boyce Watkins, his dumb behind self. That's another dude that I got a lot of issues with. He posted something the other day. He was talking about, and I'll show y'all in a little bit, but he posted some mess the other day talking about, well, women at the end of the day, they got the most power or something like that. It just, bro, that pissed me off so much. Anyway, so let me play this out here. So Clifton Davis, he's still talking here. Now check this guy out. Now listen to what he's saying.
You asked, how do we love black women? Yeah. That's right here. Trust.
Hold on. You asked, how do we love black women? Are you black? Can I stop? Can I stop the show there for a second? Is you black? You see what I'm saying? In other words, it's about who get the gay people together, get the gay men together, and let them stand up on our stead. And here you got this dude here up here talking about, you ask, okay.
Black women, and listen to black women because they know more than we do what it is that they need.
I don't think that's true either.
As men,
there's a lot of black women who don't know how to love.
I'm not talking about what they know how to love. I'm saying what they need as far as the reproduction.
I get that.
Bruh, you trying to speak for black women. See, let me tell you something again. Let me just say this. Again, let black women speak for themselves. They want to be heard, then let them. I respect black women. Let them speak for them. My daughter, she wants to speak to me. She comes right to me. She ain't going to send her brother to me and all of that and then go all around. She got something to say. She going to say something to me. Same thing with my wife. She got something to say. That's how you communicate. But what we're seeing is this cosplaying that's been happening, where you're seeing gay men that are coming into these spaces more and more and more, and you're going to continue to see this, where they are out here saying some of these things like, we need to the patriarchy, we need to check the patriarchy, we need to check your male privilege and all of this stuff, and they're saying this to black men. But you're saying stuff, but it doesn't even make sense in the real world at all. It doesn't even make sense in the real world. Let me see if I can find that Boyce Watkins quote here. There was something he said. Like I said, I was like, man, that dude, man, he just shut up, man. Just shut all the way up, man. Let me see if I can find it. It's almost there. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Right here. Boyce Watkins. Right here. Here it is. Boyce Watkins. Feminine women have far more power than masculine ones. Felicia Rashad understood this very well. She commanded power, but never tried to be masculine in her process. Now, I understand what he's trying to say here. And, but he plays in this space a lot of times where he'll try to check. I understand what he's saying. That masculine women who act masculine, they tend to be, they don't have as much power as women who are feminine. But if you follow Boyce Watkins and some of the other things he's saying, he tries to paint this picture as if, women really have more power. He does try to paint that picture. So you got to see a lot of the other stuff that he paints. But see, I believe that when you have a woman and a man together that are really a union, that's where the real power becomes. It's not the man has more power or the woman has more power, or whatever. I think you see the real power when they both are together and when they are operating as a unit, as a one union. That's what it's supposed to be. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm seeing more and more of these men coming up that are trying to make it seem like, now, women, black women, they are really God at the end of the day. They are goddesses, they are the life givers, and like you didn't have anything to do with it. So anyway, all this coming out of the whole movie thing, that this movie called Is God Is. But let me just show you again. This was on another front, and then I'm gonna show you an idea that I have. I'll share this with you here. Was this, let me see. I don't know if it's on my computer. Okay, it must be on my phone here. Let me show this this is on my computer. On my phone here. This was something that I took a screenshot of, Star Trek. Hold on, it's right here. Oh, here it is. Okay, let me bring this over here. It's coming. Now, many of you are familiar with Star Trek. Some people was really into the Star Trek world. Me, I could take it or leave it. I was into the movies, but I'm really too much into show stuff. But anyway, the Klingons, but I am familiar with the Klingons. Now the Klingons, that's a whole war class of individuals. The Klingons. And, if you are familiar enough with Star Trek, you'll know when you hear the Klingons, they didn't play. I mean, these dudes, they always were on 10. They were always ready to go to war. And that's how the Klingons, that's who they are, right? Well, in this latest Star Trek that they have, it's like called First Class or something like that. I forgot what it's called. Well, Hollywood does what Hollywood does. Well, they have this Klingon that's at this Star Trek Academy, and he's black, right? But they didn't just leave it there, of course. They had to make him black and gay. So here's the Klingons that they're using now in Star Trek. They made this guy, they have to make him black. They made him black, and look, they put him in a dress. This is what this system always does. They always will find a way to put a black man in a dress. Even if the black man happens to be an alien from a warrior class of people, they still gonna find a way, a narrative to put this man in a dress. You see that? And see, most people, they'll look at that and say, well, that's progress. You see that? It's crazy. But this is the kind of stuff that they promote and push. And this is the kind of stuff as black men, this is what we're dealing with. So yes, as black men, we are going to be very sensitive to how we are portrayed on the big screen. So when we have these movies coming out where they're, portraying black men as, monsters and stuff like that, black men, we're going to speak out. We're going to say what needs to be said on that. And we're saying we're tired of it. Well, since we're talking about movies, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I'm going to probably finish on this because I had a couple more stories, but yeah, I'm looking at how long I've been going today. I told you this is going to be a full one, so I'll probably stop with this one. But I've been thinking, I said, I actually did a series about, I told you it was a series is over. You can find it over on our long form history channel. It's called The Black Church, a history of a factory of broken children. And I started thinking about that. And I said, you know what? I think I might be interested in doing this here. Let me see. I have on my desktop here. Just think about doing something like this. Because I changed the thumbnail over there. If you go over there to our long form history channel, I just changed the thumbnail to the factory. And so I am thinking about, because if you watch, it's a part 1 and it's a part 2. I dive in deep and I talk about the history of child abuse within the black church. And and how it's still continuing to happen. And this is why you see as many homosexuals in the church that you see today, because it continues to happen, and it just, nobody seems to really want to do anything about it. So I said, I should actually, it would be really interesting if I made that into a documentary. And what you see on this poster is a young man who's crying, and he's got you see whose hand is on he got the hand on the shoulder there. This kind of stuff happens. It's been happening ever since I was younger, even beyond that. When you start digging into the history and listening to the testimonies of many of these individuals, they will tell you themselves that they were, because a lot of times when we think of abuse towards children in the black church, rightfully so, who usually gets called out? It's the pastors that are involved in it, men who contribute to this. It's the choir director, men, right? You will find, and I would argue and tend to agree, in many of these cases, a vast majority of these cases, I would think will be a pretty good assessment. You will find that the little boys, and sometimes, and then also little girls that get turned out in the church, more often than not, are turned out physically by the men that are in the church. But it doesn't stop there, because see, it's easy to have that conversation. But what a lot of people will not talk about is the overwhelming amount of women that are in the church who do know that this kind of stuff happens to these little children, to these little boys, to these little girls. and will not say a thing. Instead, they will tell their children to kind of just take it in, like literally. It's okay. I've heard some cases where they said, you should see it as an honor. I've heard some very horrible stories about over the years of the mistreatment of black children within the church space. So you into your trauma porn or whatever. Well, this ain't exactly porn, but it is dealing with trauma. And I was thinking, I said, I should turn this into a short documentary. And if I was to do this, and I'm just going to be just fully just tell you everything, what it would require, it really wouldn't require much for me to do it. For me, it's time. I've already put in the work and actually did a part 1 and part 2 that actually laid it all out in just a very, table talk format, but put it in a documentary, I think would be quite interesting. I remember, this is many, many, many years ago. Many years ago, you familiar with Ron Dalton, and the thousands of dollars that was raised. And we took part in that, when we were in the Hebrew space. I don't even know what the goal was, but it was thousands of dollars. The reason why he needed to raise that amount of money was because if you saw his documentary, his whole entire documentary was made up of those video clips. They were just clips from different, like royalty-free clips. And his whole documentary is made up of royalty-free clips. Now, when you say royalty-free, that means they're open for anybody to use. But if you're going to use it for like a movie where you're going to make money, you have to pay for it. So when they say royalty-free, that's what they mean. So his whole entire movie was made up of all these different clips that he paid a whole boatload of money for. You don't necessarily have to do that, but he did. So that's why it costs so much. If I was to do something like this, I would probably make it no more than about 40 minutes long. It would probably cost me, for my time, just my time, I'm looking in the neighborhood of maybe $5,000, $6,000. I'm just putting it out here, or whatever. That's just time. As far as equipment, I have everything I need. So I don't need to buy equipment. I don't need to buy licensing. I don't need to buy anything like that. If I need to do interviews, I would just do it on Zoom. That's it. I mean, it would be something, the editing and all of that. I would do that myself. I would just to save money, and I would purposely want to price it at that. And then, of course, once it's done, I would just put it on YouTube and it's free. I would just do that because I think when I was in Christendom, the one thing that I really did have a deep appreciation for is in the Bible. It talks about, Jesus telling the disciples, he said, listen, when you go to these houses, you're giving them the good news. You're giving them something that's going to change their lives. He said, now, if you are going there and you're giving them something that's going to change their lives, you just give them the information. Now, if they want to give you something as a way of saying thank you, then you take it and just be thankful and grateful for it, right? But if they don't give you something, don't get mad and just keep it pushing. The fact of the matter is you're putting the information out so that people can get the help that they need. And that is something that in Christendom, that's something I've always kept with me. So for me, it wouldn't be, I don't think you got to do everything free. I mean, that would be crazy because you couldn't be able to do anything if that's the case. But something like this, it wouldn't even be about me. I wouldn't even be looking for, okay, if you're going to get it, it's going to be $50 a head or anything. Ain't nobody doing that. I'll just, it just, for me, it's time. The time it takes to edit, the time it takes to put things together. Like I said, the equipment, I have the equipment, with AI and stuff now. I got music, and that would be it. So if that's something that you would like to see and you're interested in, I wouldn't even do a GoFundMe. I wouldn't even do I right this second. I'm not even thinking about that. I know I had that, the thanks button here on YouTube, and I could, you could do it that way if that's what you want to do. If y'all would like to see that, that's something I would eventually want to do anyway. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it now, but in the very near future, I would like to do something that really presents this in a way that gets people to really pay close attention to this, because this is these churches are factories of these children that have grown into men who are like this. These churches have turned into Frankenstein's laboratory, where they are churning out broken men like you saw in that video. In many cases, that's the case. And if we can't have these conversations, like I said, again, we can talk about the men, and we gonna hold the men accountable that do this stuff, because they need to be addressed. But we also need to hold the women who also see this stuff and then many times participate in this stuff. They need to be held accountable too. And that's what this would have. This case here, that's what I would be doing in this video. So if that's something that you would, be interested in, you can email me or whatever, and let me know, whatever, and we'll just see what happens. But I'm just putting it out there, and I just wanted to share that with you. I do like to see. I do want to mention this because I told you this ties into this story here, and I'm looking at my time and I'm like, wow, okay, so it is. Yeah, I'm doing a lot here, but I did say this is going to be a long broadcast, so this ties up with this story here, and yes, this is the final story here. In Atlanta, there is a story out. There's a young man that they found, unfortunately, hanging from a tree down in Marietta, and let's see here. They say Cobb County, which county I lived in for many years. The family of a man who was reported missing out of Atlanta says he was found dead in the Cobb County Park. Cobb County Police says officers were called to Fair Oaks Park around 9:46 a.m. after receiving a 911 call about a dead person in the wooded area park of February 18th. They said that police said witnesses reported seeing him enter the wooded area alone on Valentine's Day around 4:28 p.m. Detectives found no evidence indicating that anyone else was involved. And I'm trying to refresh it here. So the family, he was 21 year old. And the family, they're just saying, listen, we appreciate all the talk about, our family member here, but we just want to focus on the good and all of that. That's what the family's saying. And the reason why they're saying that is because online, there's a lot of talk right now where they are saying that, black folks are concluding that the Klan was behind this. They don't have any evidence, but their conclusion is that the Klan was behind this. Now, as someone who lived many years in Cobb County, I moved to Cobb County in 95, I think it was. And we stayed in there to the early 2000s or so. I got married there, bought a house there, had my first business there. And so I know quite a bit about Cobb County and that whole area. That was during the time that you had numbers of Cobb County, especially black folks were coming into Atlanta in droves. So Cobb County ain't Cobb County in 1942. Cobb County, there's a lot of black folks, and not just Cobb County, all in Atlanta. Black folks are everywhere in Atlanta. So this whole notion that somehow the Klan somehow needled their way through all of these black folks to lynch this man is highly unlikely. They already saying that witnesses said that he went into the park by himself. This ties into yet another recent story that took place. Y'all correct me. Was it in Mississippi or was it in Alabama? I think it was in Mississippi. More recent story of the young black man that they found hanging at the college campus down in one of those states on a college campus. and people all over online were saying that the Klan did it, white people did it, and I'm just so mad I can just spit and all of this stuff. I'm gonna beat up white people and all of this other stuff. And that tied into another story that we talked about, same thing. I talked about a whole bunch of stories where these young black men are found hanging. And it's very easy to jump to conclusions about the Klan and all of this other stuff, and it's racists that are doing this. But the evidence always comes out that there is no evidence of that. That many of these cases here, these men, and just about, I would say all of these cases, when you start finding out the details, they committed the act of eliminating themselves because of something called depression. And what I am done with, at least on this platform, and that's why we're strong advocates of this, is that I'm done with this whole notion that somehow that there's this belief that there's a textbook rule on how black people are supposed to handle depression. When you are in a serious depressed state, there's all kind of things that goes through your mind. There's all kind of things. And what I am seeing now, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound very dark, and it's going to sound twisted, but I am just going to be one of those that's just going to say it. What I see happening is a lot, and I've actually looked into this a little bit. There are people who actually premeditate the way they want to take themselves out, and they see that, okay, if I take myself out this way, then I know that when I'm gone, a lot of people will be talking about me. That is a real phenomenon. I'm not making that up. Now, for you hearing that, that may sound kind of crazy and weird, and who would even think that way? But when you are in severe depression, these are the kind of things that go through your mind. And what I am seeing is this is actually turning into a trend, especially amongst black men who are dealing with severe depression. That they have gotten to that level where they will play on these real events that took place in Black American history and continue it as a way of trying to get post-mortem sympathy. But what you're doing, even in death, you're bringing in more confusion because you were confused. That's for some people, that's going to take a little bit of time to process that. But what I'm telling you is, I'm a man, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this keeps playing out over and over again. So for people to think that black men don't do this kind of stuff, it's being proven over and over again that, yeah, they do. You know what I mean? This is just one of many ways. There are people who do take themselves out literally all the time. They do. You just don't hear about it. People do this stuff all the time. And so what I'm saying is it's very important for us to listen to our family members, pay close attention to them, things they're saying, you know, people that you're close to, I'll say. And make sure that you just, you know, you're a listening ear, you're a loving shoulder or whatever it is, and make sure you're paying very close attention, especially to a lot of these men that are out here. Because I am telling you, that is the next step. We are here. Y'all just take my word for it. Because you go from the abuse cycle, then the system is telling you, let it all out by being somebody you're not. Be a trans man or trans woman, be a gay man or whatever. And then when that's not enough, then they turn to drugs. And then when that's not enough, then you turn to doing stuff like this. It's usually a pattern. And it may not follow that direct pattern that I just gave you, but people don't just wake up one morning and decide to do that kind of stuff. There's usually a long trail, if you to pay close attention, of signs and flags and red flags letting you know, hey, you know, I'm here, you know, I need help, and people don't pay attention. And so now the space is crowded with all of this noise where everybody's pivoting to it's racism. So you got a lot of people gassed up about that. But when you want to have a conversation where you're really delving in and talking about, let's get into this depression stuff. Let's deal with that, because this is a growing issue right now. Nobody wants to have that conversation. So when I'm talking about gays and lesbians and stuff, it is never from a place of hatred or anything like that. I'm seeing what has medically been proven out over and over again. This is a mental issue. Don't let these people tell you that that's normal. It is not. It is not normal to tell a young girl to cut off her breast. It is not normal to tell a young girl to dress up like a man or vice versa. That is not normal. We should never see that as normal. And it's something that in a loving way, it needs to be addressed. And that's what we try to do, at least bring awareness and attention to that here on this platform. So like I said, again, we talked about a great deal on this broadcast today, y'all. I really appreciate you guys being here and hanging in there with me. A lot of information here. Maybe I'll try to cut it up and make it into smaller videos. Don't know, but I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, we got that 10% sale going on right now over at Samba Tree. So if you like that, or that tea that I call it my red juice tea, the 8 herb tea, herb and mineral tea, the 11 herb tea that we have, and the organic citrus, you get 10% off of that as well. All right. So we got that going on. Make sure you check us out over at sambatree.com. Again, thank you so much, you guys. Listen, you take care, and we'll be talking again soon. I'll see you around. Take care now.